Hello everybody, Joshua Crawford here. I'm doing a video because I want to ask for a favor. I want to ask your help with something, okay? So today is the day that I've finally gotten the courage to go ahead and put myself out there and release something that I've been working on for months. It's our EKG Mastery Challenge, and the reason I'm asking for your help is I want to spread the word, okay? So what this is, the EKG Mastery Challenge, is something that I created. It's a brand new program. It's never been done before. I've never done this one before. I've taught EKGs for years, but I've never done this format. So what it is I will be teaching people how to truly master EKGs. I started a company called Level Up Medic, and I will teach people how to master EKGs in a 5-day challenge. So they'll join me on Zoom, and there'll be a link where you'll be able to find out a lot of information. So I'm not really going to go into that. The reason for this video is to tell you more about me and tell you why I need your help. All right, so many of you know that I've been in healthcare for about 2 decades, and I've been an educator for about as long. In fact, I was thinking about this earlier, that when I was 15 years old in high school, so some of you know this, you remember in high school, I was 15 years old, didn't have a driver's license yet, and I started riding on an ambulance way back then. In fact, because I didn't have my driver's license, the ambulance used to have to, I would call the station, speak to the dispatcher and say, hey, can you guys swing by and pick me up? And the ambulance would come to my high school, pick me up, and then sometimes we'd get a call as I was jumping in the back door of the ambulance, and then the lights and sirens, we'd turn it on, woo, 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 and then head on to a call. But some of you know this happened because you were there. So I first started riding on an ambulance as a teenager. Then eventually I became an EMT. I became a paramedic educator. I taught paramedic school. I became a certified flight paramedic. Then I went to med school. So I've been teaching, as I said, for many years. I started also teaching CPR, first aid, even back in high school, and have taught all these years. I've been a BLS instructor, ACLS, PALS, so forth. But I knew, so most of you know that my goal in life was to be a doctor. In fact, I wanted to just work as an ER doctor, and that's what when I was 6 years old, I knew I was called to medicine. I knew that's what I was supposed to do, just be a doctor. But for about a year now, I've been kind of wrestling with myself. I've had this kind of internal struggle of, I just kind of felt like I was supposed to do something more and affect people in a different way. So I started kind of this entrepreneurial journey about 14 months ago. Started learning all of this stuff about business and marketing and so forth. A gentleman came into my life, Dr. Myron Golden, and he really started teaching me about business and the importance of entrepreneurship and owning your own business and the biblical aspects of business and so forth. Well, but I was still working a job. In fact, I was in March of this year, well, it started before that, but in March of this year, there was one specific moment where I finally got a day off. I was working this government contract. I finally got a day off, and I'm sitting in my hotel room in Chicago. It's a cold March day. And I had been just saying or thinking to myself, there's got to be more. I feel like I'm supposed to do more. This particular day, I was watching this pastor on YouTube. There was just somebody walking behind me with a dog, and I was just seeing what was going on. So I'm sitting in my hotel room watching this YouTube video. This pastor talks about operating in your gift, and he says that money follows mastery and how you have to master your craft. But he says a lot of you do something already. You're really good at something, but you don't really think it's special because you do it. But he said that if you'll truly just step out and operate in your gift, you won't have to struggle so much. And so he goes through a list of things that people do that they're naturally gifted for. And he says, some of you taste food, or you cook food, or you write poetry, you sing, you dance. And I'm thinking, well, I don't do any of that. But I remember pausing the video, and this is when it started to get real for me. I paused the video, no joke, my hand on the Bible. This is the case. I've shared this with my family and only a few close friends, but most of you don't know this story. So I'm gonna tell you this just to provide context. I paused the video and I said, God, I need to hear from you. I feel like I'm supposed to teach medicine. I've been doing it for years. It's just I want to do it on a larger scale, affect people around the world, not just in my local community. And so I said, God, I need to hear from you. Make this guy say that if you teach, then teach. And if he says that, I'll know it came from you, and I'll do something with it. If I can be totally transparent, this is the only time probably in my life I was hoping that a prayer did not get answered, because at that point, I wouldn't have to take any action, right? I could just go on with my life, just continue on, just go be a doctor and just work as a doctor. I press play, guys. And the very next words out of this pastor's mouth was, if you teach, then teach. I jumped out of my bed and I screamed, because I've never had a prayer be answered so fast in my life. I've never been so afraid of a prayer being answered. But it happened in that moment. That was March of this year. So fast forward, July of this year, I had some travel planned, had some international trips. I had some conferences planned, so I didn't get started right away. But in July of this year, I officially launched Level Up Medic, which is our medical education consulting and tutoring company, where I teach people how to truly understand medicine. I'll teach things down to the cell, for instance, and teach you to understand the foundations of medicine, going back to the basic biochemistry, physiology, to understand everything in medicine. Well, I'm going ahead and we're doing, as I said, we're doing this EKG Mastery Challenge. But here's the thing. I've been teaching for years. I've taught over 2,000 students. Some of you know that back when I was on an ambulance, I helped hundreds of people for free. I would pull out a napkin, pull out a piece of paper. I'd go to a window. I'd go to a dry erase board, anything I could find. I've literally taken my finger and written in the sand, just whatever I had available at the time. Sometimes I'd pull out my notepad. Many of you have sat at a kitchen table with me, or in the back of an ambulance, or in the helicopter, or at our base, or whatever. And you know that that's what I do. I just teach. So to date, I've taught over 2,000 students. I taught several hundred people the EKG workshop that I hosted myself in my own med school. I taught several hundred people for free. Now I'm wanting to reach a larger audience, but here's the thing. I know medicine. I understand medicine down to the cell. I'm a little bit nerdy, and when I get into something, I really go for it. I've had some really challenging things that I've done in my life, going to med school, becoming a flight paramedic. When I went to flight school and became a pilot, all of those were tough, but none of them were as tough as me just putting myself out there and telling people about what I do now. Well, I'm a little embarrassed, but don't judge me. But I've never posted on Instagram. I just got an Instagram account just maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. Today will be the very first post on Instagram, YouTube, all of these other platforms. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I don't even know all the lingo. I still have to ask my kids, like, which one does what, like which is the reel versus a short versus a whatever. Okay, that's not my thing yet. I have 0 followers. You all know me because maybe we've worked together. Maybe we were at the fire station together, on the ambulance together, in the helicopter together. Maybe you were one of my students when I taught at the college, when I taught in one of the private programs. Maybe you're one of the hundreds of patients that I taught, or not patients, but hundreds of colleagues I taught in med school. Maybe you're one of the 200 or so families that I went back and visited you in the hospital. I came to your house after I had an encounter with you when you called 911, but I came back and checked on you for days or weeks, or some of you I've kept in contact with years. But guys, the reason I'm doing this is it's way bigger than me. I think about situations. The reason I'm so passionate about this, and I apologize for the emotion. I didn't expect this. But the reason I'm so passionate about people knowing medicine is I think about times like March 10th of the year when I responded to Marvin, who was in cardiac arrest. He had been in cardiac arrest for about 14 minutes by the time I got there. My partner Eric Mejia and I, we worked on him, and another paramedic came and joined us, Keith Burkett. We worked on this guy for over an hour. I went to see Marvin for about 2 weeks in the hospital, and then I got to have lunch with him when he got discharged. But because God worked through me, my partner, and I was just a small part of that day, Marvin is alive. And I got to, talk to him over the years. Or I think about Kevin, who the day before Father's Day one year, on a Saturday, the day before Father's Day, I get a call. Kevin was working. I believe he was building an above ground pool. It's a hot summer day. He starts having chest pain. I interact with him because he's having a massive heart attack. Come to find out, he would have almost 100% blockage. In fact, when you click the link, a part of that will be his testimony, where Kevin, I'll let him tell his own story. But Kevin's heart stopped 3 times. But Kevin is alive today. That's why I do this. It's not about me, guys. It's way bigger than me. But I want to be able to share my knowledge in medicine. I've studied this. I have gone in on this. I have mastered this. And for those of you who know me, you know that when I go in on something, I really go in on it. So I have devoted the last 13 years to learning EKGs and mastering it and being able to teach it in a really simple yet meaningful, very fun way. But I don't just cover the basics. I really teach you EKGs. I make that EKG come alive. But I want to be able to share this with so many people. I'm new to social media. Like I said, I have 0 followers. You know me, but a lot of people don't know me. And I want to be able to get this out to as many people as possible. I really want other people to have those kind of stories of Marvin and Kevin and so many other patients that I've met over the years. So if you'll do me a favor, would you just post this for me? I want to see how many people we can help. Okay? If you'll do this, I don't generally ask for help. Maybe it's a pride thing. That's something I probably need to work on. But I'm asking for your help because I don't really understand the whole social media thing yet. I'm willing to learn, and I'm a quick learner. I learn a lot. I learn all the time. But if you will help me, just spread the word. If I've helped you in any way, if you were one of those people that I drew something on a napkin, maybe you called me and asked me to troubleshoot the ventilator with you. You had a patient and the alarms were going off, and you called me in real time to say, Joshua, can you help me with this vent? I've got a patient. There are many of you I've done this for. I've gotten calls at midnight before. I've gotten calls all times of the day. People have sent me EKGs when there's been a patient in the ambulance and they're headed to the hospital, and I say, Joshua, what do you think about this? And I pick up the phone and I say, okay, well, check this out or try this. Tell me what the vitals are. Tell me about the whole story. Okay, this is what I'd recommend. So maybe you were one of those students that I sat on the bus with in med school. We were going back and forth to school, and I would just draw something out for you. If I've helped, or maybe you were one of the thousands of students that I've taught CPR and first aid over the years. If I've in some way helped you at some point in my life or in your life, would you just help me this time? Like I said, I don't like asking for help. I don't normally ask for help, but I need your help. It would mean a lot to me if you'll just share this message with people, tell people about what we're doing, encourage them to sign up for yourself. And I hope to see you very soon in our next, or our very first, actually, EKG Mastery Challenge. We'll be doing this monthly, but the very first one kicks off in 1 week, a little over a week. I hope to see you there, and I hope you'll help me spread the message. Thank you so much.